Imagine pouring your heart, your soul, and every waking moment into a startup, only to watch it crash and burn right before your eyes. The sleepless nights, the endless pitches, the hope that kept you going, it all feels like it was for nothing. You've faced rejection after rejection, doors slammed in your face, your confidence shattered, your dreams hanging by a thread. You start doubting everything, your idea, your ability, your future. You wonder if it's even possible to get back on your feet again, if anyone would believe in you after failure. And yet, somewhere deep inside, that fire refuses to die out. This isn't just a story about failure. It's the story about what comes next, about crawling back from rock bottom and not just surviving, but coming back stronger than anyone imagined. It's about turning that gut-wrenching no into the loudest, most powerful yes you'll ever hear. Because here's the truth that most people forget. Failure isn't the end. It's the crucible where real grit is forged. If you're in venture capital, if you're investing, advising, or building startups yourselves, you know the temptation to write off the ones that stumble hard the first time. And you're right to be cautious. There's risk, so much risk. But what if that story of failure, that moment of collapse, was exactly the point where the real magic begins? What if those painful lessons, those bruised egos, those burned bridges, were the raw materials for something revolutionary? The key is not just about having a great idea. It's about understanding the human behind the idea, beyond the pitch deck, beyond the financials. The journey of raising again, after a failure, is about leadership, about owning the mess and showing up with new clarity, new vision, and an unbreakable will. It's about being unafraid to face the brutal truth and then using that truth to build something no one else can. Startups fail because they build in silence, because they pretend the pain isn't there, the feedback is too harsh, or the market is impossible. But the startups that come back, those that raise again and then win big, they embrace their scars. They tell their story with raw honesty, not polished perfection. This creates something powerful: trust. Not just the kind of trust that comes from tracking market size or revenue projections, but trust in the founder's resilience, their authenticity, their relentless drive to solve a real problem. So how do you, as someone connected to the venture capital world, spot that spark? How do you recognize when a startup's failure is just the smoke before the fire? It starts by looking for founders who do these three things flawlessly. They reflect deeply and honestly on their failure. They prioritize building a new, validated version of their product that's tightly aligned with what customers actually want. And they demonstrate unshakable focus by cutting out everything that isn't the absolute core of their mission. But even that isn't enough. Raising again after failure requires founders to do something most investors don't expect. They must rewrite their story without excuses and without victimhood. They own up to what went wrong, but also create a new narrative centered on learning and growth, not on blame or luck. When a founder can do this, they flip the script entirely. They invite investors in on a journey, not just a transaction. And here's the clincher: the startup that raises again isn't clawing back to the same place it was before. It's leaping forward. Failure stripped away false assumptions, cut the fat, and revealed what really matters. Maybe it's a pivot so radical, some call it a new startup entirely. Maybe it's a laser focus on a niche market that seemed too small before, but now holds the key to scaling a profitable business. This isn't just surviving failure. It's transforming failure into the ultimate competitive advantage. For you as an investor, your role isn't just to fund winners. You already see plenty of those. Your role, if you want to be truly exceptional, is to see potential where others see dust. To back founders who've been through hell and come out battle-tested. To bet on character, on grit, on vision combined with humility. Because those are the founders who don't just build products, they build legacies. But beware, this process is brutal. It's lonely. It demands a ruthless commitment to truth and change. Founders need to strip away the ego and face hard facts. They need to say goodbye to comfort zones and safe ideas. And they must do it fast. The world isn't waiting. Investors notice the urgency and the intensity. They know that passion tempered by insight is more valuable than naive optimism. And here's a powerful secret. Raising after failure gives founders a unique credibility. They're no longer just dreamers. They're survivors. They've learned the difference between vanity and value. They understand failure's lessons in a way that newbies never will. This invites a different kind of investor. One who is not interested in hype, but in real human tenacity, in a founder's capacity to evolve and execute. So what advice should founders take to heart as they aim to raise again? First, be transparent with your story. Don't sugarcoat failure. Investors smell fear behind a polished story. Instead, show them the raw edges and what you built from them. Second, validate relentlessly. No matter how painful, relentlessly hunt customer feedback. Iterate fast. This is the language investors now demand. Third, build a team that can weather storms, that challenges ideas, that pushes forward relentlessly. No solo heroes here. Fourth, focus on cash flow, like your life depends on it, because it does. Show that you understand your unit economics better than anyone. Fifth, embrace patience, but act with urgency. It's a paradox, but it pays off. For those watching this and thinking, this is impossible, I don't know if I can do this. Remember, the world is full of stories just like this one. Startups that failed hard, then came back hotter, faster, stronger. These stories aren't exceptions. They're proof of a principle. Failure isn't a dead end. It's a yes waiting to be found if you dare to keep going. And investors? If you want to discover the rare gems that will change markets, industries, even cultures, the founders who can do the impossible with what looks like the ashes of failure, then start shifting your lens. Start looking deeper. Invest not just in ideas, but in humanity. Because that's where the wildest successes hide. This is more than just a funding story. It's a story about rising, about relentless fight, about transformation. It's a story every venture capitalist and founder needs to hear, because in the trenches of failure lies the blueprint for victory. Don't miss it. Watch closely, listen carefully, and then act. The next big win might just be one tough, fiery comeback away.